We're being sold stuff without the stuff ever actually mattering, without somebody actually reviewing the thing, showcasing the thing in action. What this encourages, and what a lot of TikTok encourages, including it girls, is to find a box and then put yourself in it. You don't need to fit into a box. You could, but you don't need to look for ways in which you fit yourself into a box. And one of the ways that consumer culture benefits by us doing this is that if we look at the boxes out there, right, we say, oh, it girl style, it girl status is for me, then you can now go buy all of the things in that box, and it makes it easier to buy the box. So when you're relying on other people to tell you how to think and feel about stuff, you don't think and you don't feel, and you just buy and you wear. Hey y'all, welcome in or welcome back to the channel. Today we have a somewhat long-awaited video that was initially titled, Does It Work or Is It the Aesthetic? You might have seen this mentioned in a poll back in early June, kind of about a month ago now, and I've been toying with this idea for like probably 6 weeks, and I've just been trying to get together a script of some kind and trying to find the direction of the video that I wanted to go in. I initially wanted to have this video focus on trendy or popular products or brands and discuss why I think they're so trendy or popular. Kind of, is it the product itself or is it the aesthetic? Does it work or does it just look pretty? Maybe even come down on an opinion, like show a handful of products like Sol de Janeiro or Gisou, the hair oil, Dior, maybe the Dior lip gloss, and talk about what I think. However, no matter how popular these products are, the aesthetic plays a key component in why they're all popular. Some of the stuff might actually work, but ultimately, I personally believe it's the aesthetic that is the selling point above and beyond product efficacy. Aesthetic plays an important role for the popularity of all of these products, and I think why people were ever interested in them in the first place. I think if any of these products came in ugly packaging, there would just be newer, nicer, more aesthetic stuff that would be popular instead. I also found the aestheticization that was happening to be about the it girl. These products being it girl products, or in some cases, that girl products. And I think it's the tie to the it girl that factors into their popularity. And in the case of the it girl, there is way more than beauty products that are aestheticized. There is a larger conversation here ultimately about the pursuit of the it girl, or using aestheticization to sell us the it girl and it girl products. Consumption in the name of aesthetics, or more specifically, consuming your way into it girl status and the internet's fascination with doing so. And there's also greater conversations about trends and identities as well. I crafted my intro of this video to talk about the evolution to how I got to what we're talking about today. And I think in some cases, focusing on product aesthetics is the least interesting part of this conversation. And there's more interesting or more nuanced things that we can also talk about before we can enter into this discussion that ultimately includes the it girl. We need to talk about what the it girl means. Who is the it girl? What is the it girl? And to some extent, what is that girl? What's the difference? While both can be distinct concepts, there is some blending or there was a Venn diagram. There would be a little bit of an overlap between the two. It girls are not new to the TikTok age. It girls have been around for decades. There have been it girls of each generation, multiple it girls. But I think there's been a little bit of a unique stance happening with TikTok because of the pursuit of the consumption of the it girl and other it girls specifically advising other girls, other women, how to become it girls. So while in the 80s, women were pursuing Madonna as an it girl, as an example, Madonna herself wasn't making videos or articles telling other women how to get her specific look. There were magazines that were doing this. So there was a version of this. It's just kind of like evolved and grown over the years, is the point. Historically, It girls have been trendsetters. It girls have been women who have a unique sense of identity, a unique sense of style that other people ultimately want to emulate. Madonna is just the classic example. And typically, other girls and women look up to these it girls to be trendsetters, to be style setters, and they look to them to see what's cool and trendy. That girl is also an it girl of a sort. Although you don't need to be a trend or style icon to be that girl, people still live their lives or attempt to pursue that girl status, that girl behavior. And I would argue that that girl as an archetype has become an it girl of itself, right? She is an archetype. So people can pursue an archetype, and that has kind of made her everybody and nobody. I mean, in some ways, like that girls that we see on Instagram tend to be really slim, thin, cishet white women, who tend to have lots of money. So there is a physical type, a representative of her, but she is also an archetype. And what has happened on social media is when we have people who are stand-ins for that girl, people tend to pursue them, like pursue specific people's lifestyle or specific people's interpretations of that girl, turning that girls into it girls. It's one of my theses of this video. I'm now running into how do I what's the proper grammar here? That people who are that girl, okay, I hope you're following me. They tend to prioritize health and wellness. They tend to prioritize healthy eating, green smoothies, working out, athleisure, their appearance and productivity. We tend to view these women as people who have their lives together. They drink green smoothies, they journal, they read, but they're probably reading Brianna Weiss, not a shot. But like there tends to be, tropes associated with that girl, things that they do and they encourage other people to do. And it's not just like reading nonfiction. It tends to be reading this specific kind of nonfiction. They do yoga, Pilates. They tend to have an aesthetic appearance, and part of the aestheticization is the wealth that allows them to be aesthetic in terms of like having the resources to be able to buy nice clothes, but also part of the aesthetics tends to be the way that they physically look, being typically slim, long-haired white women. That girl has been an inspiration to many, or an aspiration, I should say. And specific that girls have become it girls in their own right because of the aestheticization, and other girls and women look up to them or want to be like them. They become trendsetters for health and wellness and aesthetics. Going back to the it girl, similar things happen with it girls. People desire and aspire to be like an it girl. They want to be trendsetters like them. They want to look like them. They want to have identities and lives like them. And it girls foster this idea that you can pursue the it girl, you can become the it girl via consumption, which is also happening with that girl. Yes, that girl might have a little bit more, I don't want to say substance because that is a little bit, I think, denigrating. But what I'm trying to say is that girl, I think, started off as this idea of a lifestyle and pursuing a specific type of lifestyle that you didn't necessarily need money to attain. Reading more or journaling or working out aren't things that, they're more general recommendations or things that you could do, things that almost anybody could find a way or a version of in their lives. It's become more specific over time, and it was, initially much less of a consumption-based practice that quickly turned consumption-based. Whereas I would argue that it girls have kind of always been consumption-based practices, and you consuming your way into an identity. A desire to be an it girl tends to also be a desire to be on trend, to be trendy, which means that just about anything an it girl recommends or suggests is going to be fleeting. It's never going to be permanent. So those in pursuit of the it girl or it girl status or it girl lives can find themselves on an endless hamster wheel of continuously buying products to be the it girl, because you will never arrive. You must continuously, or if you want to maintain your hold on an it girl, you must continuously purchase things in order to participate in the it girlhood. I think the pursuit of the it girl is a little bit different than pursuit of typical trends, because when we look at something like, let's say, a style trend, say clean girl aesthetic, or let's say cottagecore, two very large, very popular aesthetic types that I would argue today still have people who have an audience for these things. These things, though, are known by participants as an aesthetic, as something that you tend to consume to participate in. Yes, you don't necessarily have to, because you can, find inspiration with what you already have, but the idea or the concept, typically people are aware that you need to buy to participate. The it girl has somehow, I feel like, hidden itself from that fact that it is a pursuit of trends. It is a pursuit of consumption. And I think people have convinced themselves that it is somehow a worthwhile pursuit. We are in pursuit of the it girl and not pursuit of the products. Or we are in pursuit of the it girl instead of in pursuit of the trends. And I think lines can be blurred that way. I think a similar equivalent could be I am in pursuit of my personal style versus I am in pursuit of that specific aesthetic. And we can convince ourselves what we're doing is something good and something worthwhile. However, quite often, the products that an it girl uses aren't really about the products, and it's about the person. That a person can spark an interest in a product and not necessarily a product being representative of it girl. And what I think happens is that a specific it girl uses a product. Let's say it's a lip gloss. The reason why that lip gloss in that context becomes popular or it girl status is because of the person using it and not because of the product. And so people who are not that it girl attempt to become like that girl, to be like in her sphere by using the products that she uses, but they are not that girl. That is not all of the cases, but some of them. It's as close as one can become to being said person, to being a status symbol by purchasing the products. I am also a status symbol. I am also in that realm because I'm using the same products as this person. In the cases where it is about the products, people are chasing an identity via products or belonging via products. This is in a way an attempt to buy an identity or an aesthetic, which can be harmful in and of itself, right? There's chasing a trend, chasing style, chasing aesthetics, chasing it girlhood, buying things specifically because they fit this aesthetic or because the it girls uses them, right? Chasing those trends versus seeing a trend, assessing whether this matches your personal style, and then buying a trend because it complements what you already know about yourself. Attempting to be an it girl or attempting to buy it girl status is like attempting to buy an identity. Being chronically online, being chronically on TikTok can give people the impression of how important a style aesthetic is. But it can also warp our identity. It can do that because we are consistently and constantly keeping up on trends. When we are continuously keeping up on trends, it can, not that it does, but it can warp our sense of identity when we feel the need to pursue them all. Or when we let the trends dictate or heavily inform our style and beauty choices. I think we can convince ourselves that we can buy our way into style and identity. And I'm going to give you a personal example. Back in approximately 2018, 2019, I started paying attention to fashion for the first time in a long time. When I was in school for all those years, I was still in school at that time. But before that, I was mostly just really focused on doing the school, so I wasn't caring much about style. And I had some hiccupy moments, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna pay attention. And I felt like I didn't know what my sense of style was. So I started watching YouTube videos. I mostly watched YouTube videos, started looking on Pinterest, started looking on Instagram, and I started finding what other people's sense of style and sense of self was, and I copied it. I was looking for other people to tell me what was in style, what was popular, what was cute, what was trendy, what was nice. I was relying on other people's sense of style to tell me about mine. This also kind of happened with beauty preferences. And now, like, I watch very little beauty YouTube. This is my signature look, or like a version of it, that I've honed over the last year in specific. And I have found ways to do my makeup and looks and colors that are, I would say, probably 80 to 90% informed by my own opinion of myself and what I like. I mean, I have that with my style as well. This kind of behavior warped my sense of style and in turn a sense of self, because I wasn't considering what I liked. I wasn't looking, as maybe cliche or as weird as it sounds, I wasn't looking to myself to assess my own opinions. I wasn't thinking about or wasn't looking to what I thought or what I considered. So when you're relying on other people to tell you how to think and feel about stuff, you don't think and you don't feel and you just buy and you wear. So I did have opinions on what I thought was cute or what I liked and why, but it took some time to flex those muscles to learn about it. I ended up with tons of clothes and makeup that I didn't like and didn't use. In 2021, this eventually led to this, like, a crisis of identity. I felt like I didn't know who I was because for so many people, myself included, style was a big part, or I told myself it was a big part of my identity. And when I felt lost in my sense of style, I felt lost in my sense of self. I thought that I didn't know who I was simply because I had spent little to no time thinking about these kinds of things, or the things that I thought made up myself. We can buy, but think very little about those buying choices. That is absolutely possible and happens to so many people. Now, let's be clear. Aesthetics matter. I'm not here to say that aesthetics don't matter and that they're irrelevant, because I myself have ideas about what looks nice, whether on me or other people. I have aesthetics that I like. I have reasons for liking specific kinds of makeup or hair on myself or on other people. I have aesthetics I don't like, including interior design and decorating, buildings, fashion and clothing too. I picked this cup because there's something aesthetically appealing to me about this cup. Same thing with this glasses or this shirt. I mentioned earlier that the concept of the it girl lends credence to the idea of consuming our way into identities. The prominence of social media and how heavily advertising fits into social media has backed that idea. It can make that seem so true to so many of us because people have vested interest in selling us this idea. Consumer culture has this vested interest in selling us this idea that we can buy our way into our own identities. Being preppy or being an it girl can be part of your identity and be part of our sense of self. That's okay. But that's not the entirety of our identity or who we are. Some subcultures do have other elements part of them, like grunge tends to have a music subculture as just an example. And there can be other political or social elements to specific fashion and beauty subcultures too. Although how we adorn our bodies matter, and they can be political, they can be gender affirming, right? It's not as though it is irrelevant. However, consumer culture has taught us that these things are often, not always, but often more important than they actually are, to get us more vested in the physical objects that we put on our bodies so we can be more invested in consumer culture. Consumer culture elevates the importance to get us to buy more, to facilitate more consumption. And all of this is why I think there is so much emphasis for things like style on TikTok. And style includes beauty as well. Style and beauty are ways of finding ourselves, finding who we are, finding ourselves through style. This is something that can be partly true. It's not as though it is without merit. I have myself found this to be somewhat true. But TikTok has quite often framed it as you can simply buy your way into your own identity. And here's the thing. If you continuously do this, this can really create a sense of confusion about your own identity. If you are continuously buying the things that you see or continuously following trends, you are not coming into your personhood, your identity, your sense of self, yourself. There is no stability. There is constant instability because of the changing trends. And so that can lead to an instability of identity and, self-belief or not just self-belief, but like personhood. It can lead to a confusion about who you actually are. When we elevate our wardrobe, our beauty choices to the majority or the biggest part of our identity, and we also consistently buy new things, then you have a revolving door and you have little stability. It can be very confusing, very disorienting. It is true that we can feel more confident through wearing certain things or owning certain things or looking a certain way, and that we can express ourselves through consumption. And the upside to this is that we can find communities of people who might think and act like us or who share similar identity points. Getting back more concretely to the it girl status, the it girl brands, the it girl pursuit, you can find a sense of community with other women who are doing the same. And you can also find sense of community in people who have style tastes like yours, whether that's preppy style or grunge style or somewhere in between. However, it can also lead to certain kinds of consumption feeling ideal or necessary in order to participate in said subculture. This can go deeper when we associate our stuff, our material possessions, with our sense of self. This can impact self-esteem. This goes deeper, though, through symbolic self-completion theory, which argues that people seek to acquire and display symbols that are strongly related to what they perceive as the ideal self. This is especially the case when our sense of self is threatened. TikTok's obsession with defining our identity and also micro trends can lead to this, or is an example of this. And it's also why we can be so compelled to buy new things when we feel as though our identity is shifting. And part of why we feel like our identity is shifting can come from the pursual or continual pursuit of trends. Braun and Wicklund argue that there is a compensatory relationship between person's security and certain kinds of conspicuous consumption, but that these relations cannot exist without individuals' perceived incompleteness of and commitment to the identity in question. Personal identity can become intertwined with consumer culture, emphasizing individualism through the acquisition of unique products or experiences that differentiate one's identity from others. You are what you buy, in other words. We all have our identities tied to consumer products in some way, whether it be big or small. We want to appear a certain way, and how we do that is through our stuff. So, a desire to be an it girl or have it girl products can be a result of insecurity and or a way to buy into an identity as a way to help differentiate us from other women. Sorry, that was a mouthful. I had to reach off the screen. So I wanted to back some of what I was saying with some theory. And I also want to kind of, showcase some stuff in action. So I want to show you an example of a TikTok of how to become an it girl.
Become an it girl. I'm talking Serena Vanderwoodson, Hailey Bieber, Brooke Davis, the girl who gets what she wants and has her life together. I've put together a little list to help you start today on becoming that girl. The first is picking your signature fragrance. This is a scent that everyone's going to grow to associate with you. When picking your signature fragrance, I always recommend that you think about how you feel when wearing it. I could do a whole video on fragrances that make me feel sexy and confident if you guys want, but in general, scent is so important. It's someone's first reaction to you. The second easy tip is using the sandwich method when you're getting dressed. I could show you a few examples if you need, but in general, it's just like matching your top to your shoes. It makes picking out a chic outfit so easy. The next is stacking all of your jewelry. Pick what looks best on your skin tone and run with it. By the way, this doesn't have to be expensive at all. So many of these are from Etsy. I feel like it girls always look like they take really good care of themselves, so that's why I recommend using cream products over powder makeup. And this is just for the sheer purpose of that skin. It's literal glass. Like, no powder can do what this does. On the topic of looking like you take care of yourself, make your hair healthy. I take collagen, a hair growth supplement, and I really research all of my products. If you guys want to round up of all the the best hair products, let me know. Matching sets. I feel like it girls are it girls because they're always it girls. By that I mean you will never catch an it girl out wearing a ratty old t-shirt. Whether it's leggings or a matching sweatsuit, it's an easy way to look put together. And randomly, you know who has the best inexpensive matching sets? Yeah. For your nails, you're either gonna have them done or you're gonna take it off. I personally think that no nail polish looks the classiest, but I love having my nails done. It makes me feel put together. And if you're looking for a really good neutral pink, this is one coat of Put It In Neutral and one coat of Baby Take a Bow. For trends, let's talk about following versus starting. I partake in some of the trends and some of them are just not for me. Great example of this is the new mob life aesthetic. Imagine me in a cheetah fur coat, it just wouldn't happen. This is a hot take right now, but I personally don't see any problem in following trends as long as you do it inexpensively. You're not spending all your money on chasing the next best thing. And I actually think that trends are a really easy way to participate in pop culture and bond with other girls your age. Finally, moisturizer everywhere. Every single time you get out of the shower, I want you to lather your whole body in moisturizer.
Okay, so that's the TikTok. Editing Shauna here. I've been struggling with this section of the video, and after rewatching it a couple of times, writing more of my thoughts coherently, I feel like I can cut down like the 5 minutes of rambling to something really simple. This creator has said that she's giving you advice to becoming it girl, the girl who gets what she wants, the girl who, you know, is magnetic and walks into a room and just gets what she wants. You will not become the woman or the girl who gets what she wants because you have nice hair and matching sets. That is all about, to become the person who gets what you want, you have to work on yourself internally. You have to work on your communication, speaking your mind, having confidence, and working on those elements of yourselves, opposed to having shiny hair, matching sets, and nice makeup. Those things can help to a degree with personal confidence, but they will not be the thing that makes or breaks your ability to get what you want. And so what has happened with the it girl space is that there has been blending of some elements of that girl, the elements of the self-work with the it girl status that is primarily, or the it girl trend, which is primarily focused on consumption. And there is a communication that you can achieve internal results, feeling about yourself differently via external factors. When we look at our recommendations, we have things like jewelry, cream makeup, hair sets, matching sets. That external stuff will not have the internal impact that is heavily implied by this TikTok and others. And this video isn't about helping you find your signature style or helping you become a better person or a better version of yourself. This is how to become a particular kind of person. As an example, like, this isn't how to have preppy style, how to have it girl style, how to become an it girl. I think language matters here a little bit. And when we see her advice, I wouldn't say that it's harmful, but I don't think it's going to have necessarily the impact that you might want it to have if you are attempting to be somebody else. And okay, let's just focus on the advice that she gives. Let's talk the signature scent as an example. I think finding a signature scent is nice, and her idea of like what works for you, like what's sexy, whatever. However, finding a signature scent so other people associate it with you is like not something that I get on board with. Promotes this idea that you are dressing for other people instead of yourself. You are doing these things for other people instead of yourself. And so I think that this in part implies that you are dressing a certain way or becoming an it girl or that girl for other people instead of yourselves, or at least that how the public perceives you should matter a lot, potentially more than how you feel about yourself. In my opinion, the cream products is another bad wholesale piece of advice, because I think cream products are beautiful. I would agree with her on that. But cream products depend on a skin type. Like, it's not exclusively an aesthetic thing. It has a lot to do with skin type. I also partly disagree with her thing on trends. I think it can be fun to participate in pop culture and bond with other girls and women your age. However, trends are not harmless. This particular video is the most product list video I could find. And we're going to talk about more product specific videos. What I think is being promoted here is like consuming your way into an identity, as we were just talking about. This is just a little bit more convoluted because it's kind of dabbling into that girl territory and kind of more like you'll have internal changes through external factors. Attempting to be an it girl can also be attempting to fit what is ostensibly a mold, right? And then apply it to you. I think few people are ever just one thing. I think a lot of people's personal style tends to be a mixture of stuff. You could be 80% something, but I think a lot of people take references or inspiration from multiple places. What this encourages and what a lot of TikTok encourages, including it girls, is to find a box and then put yourself in it. What this encourages is looking at the boxes out there and seeing which ones you fit into, like fitting yourself into a box, opposed to, if anything, like applying a box to you or parts of a box, maybe cutting off a box and applying it to you. You don't need to fit into a box. You could, but you don't need to look for ways in which you fit yourself into a box. And one of the ways that consumer culture benefits by us doing this is that if we look at the boxes out there, right, we say, oh, it girl style, it girl status is for me, then you can now go buy all of the things in that box. And it makes it easier to buy the box, to buy the starter pack, or to buy things. It creates sometimes less confusion up front, though, about style. And it makes it easier to buy things and participate in them. And we're going to look at a couple of videos now. This is a separate type of video that are super popular. So you're going to see a couple of these videos on the screen. And what these videos are doing is they are aestheticizing products to sell them to you. Kind of exactly where we started this whole video. The aesthetics are the focus of the video. They are the things that matter the most in this video. So much so that you just have flat lays of products. And the selling feature of these products are the packaging, and they have nothing to do with the products itself. Because we're, right, these people say, my absolute favorites, my favorite girly essentials, my that girl essentials, my that girl products. What's in my bag? Girly essentials. We're being sold stuff without the stuff ever actually mattering, without somebody actually reviewing the thing, showcasing the thing in action, describing how it works, sharing their opinion on it. There is no talking. There is just look at my stuff. And so we are enticed by stuff via the packaging and the way it looks, which is why I think that this is not really even about this stuff. It's about the appearance of the stuff, the way that it looks, and buying your way into being it girl is just about product ownership and acquisition. Just think about that for a second. Products are being sold to you for you to go and buy without them ever doing anything with the product. The way that these products look and their associations are the only thing that matters. And when our identity comes into play, we can absolutely justify spending more money than we intentionally would, because our identity is quite often a very serious or important topic to us. So we will buy sometimes whatever we want, or we'll spend way more money than we might anticipate or intend in the name of identity. We can go broke in the pursuit of our identity and becoming an it girl. There is nothing wrong with liking these specific products. There is nothing wrong with liking Charlotte Tilbury or Gisou, or finding any of the styles referenced in these videos attractive or cute. That is not the problem. The problem is twofold. Is one, being sold things based on aesthetics only. Like, you are allowed to say, yes, I would like to try the Gisou hair oil because of whatever reasons, but these videos are sales. There's often sales pitches for stuff, and they're selling us stuff without ever speaking of the thing. We just talked about that. So I think that's just more something to keep in mind, and not don't try these products. Number two, it matters when we attach our identity to style, and our styles are revolving doors of stuff, creating this unstable sense of self and identity. And it girl is just one of those things that we can be, or is the most recent example of this. Most recent, kind of aesthetic, or maybe not most recent, but a very popular one. So to conclude, I ask you, why the interest in the It Girl products? Why, what is fueling you? Is this simply a desire to keep up on trends and to buy new stuff? And if that's the case, do you actually need new stuff? And what is drawing you into this? Are we interested in Gisou hair oil simply because it's cute? Or are we interested in these things because we have a more vested interest, because our identity is somehow embedded in the pursuit of this stuff? As we conclude today, I don't want to necessarily scare anybody away from specific brands. That's not the intention of this video. I also don't want to say that you can't or shouldn't enjoy the packaging of your products. I just hope that this video gave you something to consider when buying your next aesthetic product, or when considering your own personal beauty and style, or, purchasing things in pursuit of those. And a little reminder as well that brands can go a long way or do a lot in attempts to sell us stuff. And brands also include people now. And also, number 3, 4, that our brains will sometimes go to great lengths to justify and rationalize purchasing new stuff that is ultimately desirable because it is new or novel in some way and we are coveting it very much, but also in the realm of buying stuff because our identity is embedded in some ways in those purchases, or the desires for those purchases. So that's it for me today. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you gave something to noodle over, or at the very least, fun, entertainment, calm commentary, critique. That's it for me. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you again around here soon. Bye.